But tell that story, Marilyn. It's a really good example.
If you like, think of Phantom of the Opera, okay? You buy your tickets, you're going to go see Phantom of the Opera. And now, suppose you are the lead actor in that play. And that same day you find out that your mother's ill and the love of your life just left you for somebody else. It's like, okay, you're feeling devastated. You're hurt, you're worried, you've got all this emotion going on. And you've got the play. Now, if you go out there and bring your emotion into the play, your audience is going to hate it. You're going to feel miserable. The performance will fall apart. You can't do that. And it doesn't take anything away from you to perform brilliantly. So you go on stage, you sing your heart out, you play the part, you fully embrace it and be the part, and feel really good about your performance. And then when you leave, you go back to those things that are concerning you in your life.
It's an interesting analogy.
Yeah, because it's not taking away from you to do a brilliant job. And if you know what you're doing, you're very much conscious of what you're doing. So it's not that you're denying yourself, it's that you know yourself so well that you can move through many different worlds with ease because you have the skill.
Okay.
Can I share one more detail about putting customer service in the detail of everyday business?
Go for it.
I love this one. It's Sky Lakes Hospital. There is no harder customer service than when you're dealing with sick people.
Oh, yeah, because they're in pain. They're physically in pain. It's not just like they're annoyed. They're hurting.
Yeah, and they're scared. And then you've got their family there, and the family's demanding and scared too. So if you are there for 3.5-day stay, you're going to have up to 60 people working on you. So talk about your customer service nightmare, right? And getting it handed over and over again. One of the details they put in place at Sky Lakes, it took them, they were not very happy with their service scores. They were low. They were less than 50%. Oh. And they moved up to the top 10% in the nation by adapting some skills over a 3-year period of time. Now they're a hospital of choice. It's amazing. One of the details they put into place that I just love is the 6-foot rule. Lori, tell me about that one.
Basically, any employee that passes within 6 feet of another human being has to greet that person with a smile, positive greeting. Could be just a hello, something really simple. And what was interesting is they told us that over time, once they implemented that rule, people either really got into it and enjoyed it and internalized it, or they left the hospital. They didn't work for them anymore because it didn't fit their personality.
Mm. And I think that's remarkable to think that, I don't want to look at somebody in the eyes. I don't want to say hello. I don't want to be pleasant. Then you're naturally weeding out the people that don't fit the culture.
And the question is what is this person doing in a people business anyways if they don't want to look the person in the eye?
Yeah, well, some people will slip by, though.
What is interesting to me is I'm getting the distinct impression that if you really want to be very successful in the customer service realm, you have to be part psychologist.
It's helpful.
You need to be curious. That's whenever you're feeling frustrated, if you activate your curiosity, it'll take you in the right direction. The more curious you are about people, the more access you have to being successful with them.
Mm-hmm. Now, tell me, what do you mean with compassionate service? Because I'm very familiar with friendly service, respectful service, considerate service. As a California boy, I think compassionate, I go over the edge.
I know what you're saying. But think of it this way. Suppose you have a customer who needs some tough love. They're doing something wrong and you've got to stop it, right? If you do it harshly, they'll hate you for it, and they'll be tweeting all over the place. Before they even get to their car, they're going to be tweeting about you. Right. Best example I have of this is, I do week-long trainings with Jack Canfield. He's the Chicken Soup for the Soul guy, and he's in our book, his company. when he's up there, and you may notice this too, whenever you go to a convention and you're in a workshop and the speaker is up there speaking, somebody's cell phone goes off. What does everybody do?
Growls.
They growl.
Yeah, they look at him and say, all this negativity, right? And people are frustrated. And then if they take the call, the people around them are really mad. And a lot of times, whoever is speaking will embarrass them in front of the room because they don't want this to continue going on, right? Jack Canfield has a very different approach. What he'll say at the very beginning of a talk is, you know, I know that sometimes cell phones go off and we want everyone to turn their cell phones off. Here's an alternate number that if you have an emergency, they can call this person and they'll come track you down. He gets an agreement, and then he said, now here's the thing. If your cell phone goes off, it's going to cost you $20. Now everybody's kind of horrified, right? $20, what? But then he tells them that $20 is going to go toward an orphanage in Valley, or that $20 is going to go toward building, getting water to communities, villages in Africa. He'll pick a cause where this money will go. So now, when the person's phone rings, there's a designated person that comes running with the jar for the money. But how do you feel now when that happens as an audience? What do you suppose?
You have a lot. You just don't. You don't get angry.
Right. And nobody's cell phone goes off. I mean, because they don't want $20. But it's a very compassionate way of giving tough love to a customer, of setting boundaries, of saying, no, you can't do this.
All right. Now,
people don't respond well. Gladys doesn't like no.
What about the company-wide aspect? This trickles back into, well, you know, controlling and people who don't feel themselves as having any customers whatsoever.
Lori, you want to tell them about their attitude toward mistakes?
The attitude toward mistakes. You lost me, honey.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'll let you cover it.
Okay. When we have this over and over again, this is one of the things all the companies seem to have in common that are doing extremely well in 2009 with their businesses because of their customer service, is their attitude internally about making mistakes. So at the Canfield company, we talked to Jessie Ionello, who's director of training. When she makes a mistake, she doesn't freak out, she doesn't hide it, because she knows the attitude of the whole company is mistakes are accelerated learning.
Okay.
And then at Paul Reed Smith Guitars, brilliant guitar maker, you know, rock stars play their guitars. Their attitude is mistakes are your tuition towards your education. Now, that's a very different attitude than a lot of other companies have about making mistakes.
Oh, a lot of cultures,
a lot of large corporations, they want to hide behind, you want to hide. If you made a mistake, you don't want anybody to know about it.
Right.
But when you have a compassionate approach across the board to both the customers and the employees, you can be authentic and people can tell the truth, and it makes it a lot easier to get through things that happen.
Yeah. So instead of being beaten up for it, you debrief. Well, what did you learn? What will you do next time? Now, those are helpful questions that will company-wide make you have more success along the way. So, yeah, that's what we mean by compassion within businesses.
You've been doing this for a while with a variety of different companies in a variety of different places. Are you finding, as my expectation is that there are certain countries and there are certain cultures where mistake-making is simply not part of the picture. Do you see that this is restricted to certain geographies?
Well, that's an interesting question because we did learn a lot. We saw differences, particularly when we were interviewing Singapore Airlines. Even in the way that they hire people that maybe we couldn't do in the U.S. For example, during interviews, when you're trying to hire for good customer service, in Singapore, what they do is they have a two-way mirror, and they will bring a room full of people into, the potential new hires into a room, and they'll watch them through a two-way mirror. I don't think we could even do that in the U.S.
Okay.
But what they do, which I think is fascinating, is they watch them to see who in that room is going. There's a tea service set up in the room.